I'm really grateful to be able to present my topic on this platform because what I'm going to talk about is really practical to me. It's not just theory, it's something that I'm daily working on. And I just wish to correct something. I'm not the executive manager at the Innovation Hub. I'm with another company. And then also I'm the CEO of the company I'm presenting now, Sean Perry, that is named after myself. So the reason why this topic is so relevant to me is because I run the cosmetic industry. I'm the CEO, I'm the founder. I've experienced a lot of commercial barriers in our journey, and I'm going to demonstrate how we had our challenges and how we made a success and how we're still trying to improve on how we can penetrate these markets. So I created a company that creates the products from indigenous plant extracts that you can see on the pictures below. We make variety of the skincare range that are now in different stores like the likes of Macro, Mainline. We recently got approval of the Checkers group, and other retailers are also on board. They are just reviewing the contracts before we can pin it down. We are a South African company. We manufacture everything at the Innovation Hub. That's where the incubation takes place. So we incubated there 3 years ago. And then the difference about our product is that we don't use any chemicals. We are proven that it's 100% organic products. So the challenges that we are having all the time, there is no business that can strive without finances. It's been a problem looking for funding. The company itself started when I left my job at the CSR. I was a business development manager there. I worked there for 17 years. Then I wanted to go fully on entrepreneurship. That's why I used even some of my pension fund to kickstart the company. So while I'm still looking for the funding, I didn't want to wait for the government to fund me before I can move. I started from the scratch. So one of the challenges also that we're having in the market industry is that we don't have a track record. If you don't have a track record of having supplied big stores, other retail stores, they don't really trust you that your product really works. And then we have a very big competition with the likes of Estée Lauder, L'Oreal. Those are big brands that have been here for centuries, and people trust them because they've been there for a while. So having a company starting from South Africa, people don't really believe it until you really prove beyond reasonable doubt that you have all that it takes, including the documentations and regulations that are required to shelf the product. Sometimes you can even have the required documents, like in terms of scalability test, scalability, feasibility, or they ask you to do the dermatological testing or any other testing related to cosmetic industry. You can present all of them, but it's still a challenge to really compete against all these big brands. You have to show what is really unique about your brand that can really be worthy of being shelved in their stores. And then also there should be some trajectory in terms of finances that can really this product sell or is going to just decorate our shelves. And then we end up getting to the stage whereby now we must recall the products. So that the barriers, they are very stringent. There's a lot of red tape, especially in South Africa concerning the cosmetic industry, because we are used to the brands that have been there for a couple of years. However, we did make some breakthroughs in some of them after we were incubated in the Innovation Hub, whereby we provided a variety of mentors, a variety of the people in the business, people who are expert in finances, who can help us in pricing, how to put the branding together, how to put the product together, how to even sell it, how to speak the language, how to attract the audience, and then how to pitch it in these big corporate boards. I'm very grateful for the Innovation Hub. For them, I don't think we could have made it this far. So we do a lot of marketing everywhere, including the billboards, the social media. We do the online. We have our website itself is actually an e-commerce where we can even supply the products outside the South African borders. As you can see, these are some of the platforms who are selling the online ones and the physical stores. As you can see, We have got Takealot, we've got Macro, we've got other stores around Pretoria and even outside the Pretoria. The product is now commercialized, but I must say it wasn't an easy thing to get there. A lot of blood, sweat was shed. And then the good thing about us, we create everything from scratch, including the branding, the marketing, the box, everything that we do. We are not outsourcing. We're actually doing everything ourselves. We even have our own studios where we take pictures to save the cost. As an entrepreneur, every cent means a lot. So we take all the pictures ourselves in our studios that we're going to put in the billboard, we're going to put in the Takealot, we're going to put in all these online stores, including the physical stores like the Macros, Clicks, etc. So as far, we have already supplied outside South Africa to the Kingdom of Eswatini, Namibia, Botswana, and even Lesotho. We have already exported, and we are still in the process of now finalizing a contract with a company in UK that are very much interested in opening the branch named Sean Perry. They're actually franchising the brand. So for us also to be able to do this, we are very grateful for the likes of TIA. TIA is also one of the entities that really help us with the intellectual property. All our stuff, we have the IP. As you can see, there's an IP granted for 10 years there. And then we're also in the patent because recently we developed a new product that can treat the acne. No chemicals used. And then there are results that are going to show that people are actually getting treated from it. They are being tested also by dermatologists. They always ask them, what did you do? They show them that the product called Sean Perry, it's actually doing amazing. So these are some of the images. As you can see, the lady here had a scars, stretch marks within 7 days, 8 days, they were gone. I was actually surprised that this thing is really doing marvelous works. And then some had scars, some had the wounds. These are the pictures from the WhatsApp people sending us that this is what the product is doing. And I must confess, when I was creating this product, I had no intention of making it medicinal. I was just making it to make the skin to be smooth and then to be able to have all the nutrients that it needs and then so that it doesn't crack. Then I started seeing these results. Then we took the people to go and do some dermatological testing and we took the product for dermatological testing. Hence, we received the dermatological certificate that now we actually put in our boxes that were dermatological certified. And then the whole brand was done from Future Cosmetics. How did we know Future Cosmetics? This came said for us to hold or to house the brand Sean Perry, we need you to take the products in that lab. Once they say they are okay or they are approved, then we can now shelf your product. So as I'm talking now, this chem is also interested, is in the process of finalizing on how I'm going to supply them. Because we are still upcoming brand, we will not be able to be in all the stores in South Africa at the same time. They're actually proposing 10 to 15 stores for a start and then see how the performance is. Then they will start increasing to nationwide because we have met all the requirements that were needed. Like I always said, a great thank you to the Innovation Hub and TIA for being able to do this. And as I said, these are some of our partners. Clicks also asked me to export or send the products to their head office in Cape Town. They now have their products and then they ask for documentations of which we met. So they also, we have passed all the tests. And then other clinics, they are using our products for treatment of the skin also. And then the clients are very happy. It's really getting a great traction. But I'm not doing all these things all by myself. I do have a team member with me that they're really helping me to get the products going out there. I will just show you just a little bit of some of the sales and the profit that we have accumulated to look at the margins, how we're growing. It's almost like we're growing within 65 to 75% annually. Looking at the margins that were actually conducted by accredited accountants that were provided by the Innovation Hub that are signed off. So these are the projections and the financial projections and the actual profits that we are seeing in the last financial year. So having said that, we are a team of, I'm the CEO, I do have a co-founder, and then we've got a couple of the people who are involved in the project. And then we're still actually recruiting some. Yesterday, the Innovation Hub also gave me 2 more internship students who's going to work with us from October. I'm grateful for that. I hope they will take the brand to the next level. In closure, because we're out of the time, I wanted to say these are some of the people I work with who are doing things in the background. They may not be in the face of everything like me. And then there are some that I cannot put who are actually pushing the brand. So in conclusion to this, I would love to say, we need help as entrepreneurs to get the red tape to be actually eased in most of us, because it's not easy to get in this. For me to get an appointment with Clicks, I applied there for 2 years ago. It's only now they started being interested in me. It's a very hard market. It's a very hard thing to penetrate to be commercial brand. As much as I've made success, but it's not all. I want Sean Perry to be one of the biggest brands like Clarins, like Estée Lauder. But through the help of the Innovation Hub and the tier, I believe I can make it. With that said, I wish to say, I thank you.
So good morning to everybody. So I'm going to talk about a little bit on the challenge on research and development and innovation. And one of them is, of course, the actual information that we require to do some of this work. So my topic for today, and especially at the African Open Science, is making African research discoverable, especially towards a continental open science vision. So what do I mean by this? So I think most of you here have been a scholar at some point in time or are active in the scholarly system. So the challenges in scholarly communication and publishing are quite clear, and we know all of them. So, of course, for example, most of the access to the information that we need, we either have to pay for them to get the information in scholarly publishing or the information in research, or you have to pay to contribute to this publication or these journals. So we know that this industry is quite high in profit because in general, they trade in information either generated from public funded finances or by donor funding, where they will then own the information. And we've been, as the years are going, the libraries which actually facilitate the brokering of information between these academic publishers and the researchers don't have the budget to do this. So there's a recent paper by a group in Canada where they looked at, in these last 5 years, just looking at what we call big publishers. How much are we actually what we call APCs, or administrative cost of publishing, or if I have research that I want to publish that I have to pay to publish. This is APC. So these are the 5 ones, and they did some research, and they showed that most of these publishers, the listed price to publish one manuscript is around $5,000. It's around $2,000. But the actual payment in 2003 was closer to 2.5. And if you have a breakdown of each, you will see the varying. There at the top is the median. And then, of course, what we call hybrid journals, where they are both, some of the information can be open, some of the information is completely closed. The lister's price is even higher, and the actual paid price by the researchers is much, much higher. So for a South African, for example, $2,000, if you use the listed price, is much closer to $40,000, 40,000 rand. And to really think about that, each researcher, for them to publish their research, that they've already had funding from funders, it could be the NRF, it could be WRC. Now they want to publish this work, but then they are asked to pay to publish this information. Never mind the other barrier of getting the information to do the work. So this is one of the challenges that we face, especially in the global south, the cost of participating in the information sharing and gathering globally. So what they then done, they looked at the last 5 years by these 5 big publishers, how much has globally been spent on just paying publishers to publish this work open access. Is it then really truly open access when you need to pay quite a bit of money? So if you look, the scale there is in $1 million. So if you times everything, whatever you see there in the scale is times $1 million. So around 2019, it was just sitting below $1 billion, but by 2023, it was over $2 billion. So we are closer to $10 billion that have been spent mostly by universities in paying publishers to publish information that has been generated by researchers. Close to $10 billion. In South African rands, it is closer to 200 billion rands that is spent on publishing. So, sorry, 20 billion rands spent on publishing. So we need to really think about these challenges. Then we really need to think, how do we have equitable models of participating in science? Is really the current APC model, the current open access model, favoring research and development and innovation? Are the costs really worth it, especially for the global south and in South Africa? So we really need to think as a community new models and systems of publishing or science communication, because science communication, yes, here we are talking about journals, but we know that the most important article or the most important output out of research and development is data. So we need to think about new ways of communicating this data, meaning that we need to think about way of generally democratizing of science, because if finance becomes a barrier, it means that science or knowledge generation is not democratic, because it has created a barrier for certain communities. Then this in as a whole, should we in the global south, and again, for the lack of a better word, I'm using this loosely, we think about a new path to open access, to open science communication, where everybody can participate in this. And of course, to think about this, because this sharing of information that we currently sit in and the way universities are currently incentivizing research is very linked to this current model. So if we think about new models, we have to talk about research assessment and incentives to the people who are doing research. What are the barriers? What are the challenges for them to communicate research? But for today, I won't really talk about research assessment, as I'm just touching on some of the barriers on just communicating your science once you have done it. So, of course, then currently we are talking about when we do research, and especially in scholarly communication, we are talking about citation indexes, high impact factors, H indexes. These are what we will call academic impact, if we really stretch our imagination. So we really think this, because they are so journal attached or orientated, they do not prove useful to thinking what is the impact of the research to human society, to the environment, to our communities, to societies as a whole. And the community needs to think about this complex new design of understanding or measuring impact, and then incentivizing researchers based on societal impact, instead of just saying, okay, you've written a paper, it's been read by some number of people, then you get kind of incentivized through that. So this is, again, crucial, coming back to researchers, to think about, because they are also in this process, for them to change their behavior from really publishing their research only in commercial journals. How do we change this behavior by incentivizing them in new promotional and incentive policies? So, of course, this kind of stems back and is greatly supported by what happened in 2021 at UNESCO, where the recommendations for open science were widely accepted by all member states, saying that, yes, we need open science. So if you look at the UNESCO definition of open science, when we distill it and how it can help us, is that it is aimed at making sure that science is more accessible. Meaning, when we say science, we mean all types of science, social sciences, but we mean the art or the process of generating knowledge. It must be accessible. It must be inclusive. It must be equitable. But out of all these three things, it must be for benefit of all. So we shouldn't just do science or generate knowledge, just that Dr. Nokuthula Mchunu will get a promotion, but how is that science more geared towards taking global challenges for society? So at the African Open Science, parallel to this process, which of course the pilot phase for AOSP ended in 2018, and then we are now in the phase of operationalization of AOSP, where we look at open science resources, we look at how do we use this era of data-intensive science and support an infrastructure for us to convene and coordinate interests and ideas of people for Africa and with Africa using open science. So, of course, for today, I'm talking about scholarly communication, but we can think about open infrastructure. We can think about data sharing. We can think about so many processes in research or in research and development and innovation. So because the African Open Science Platform, as the word says, is not just for South Africa, we operate within the continent. However, the continent is vast and varied and has many, many different priorities. So the idea was then to appoint different nodes in different regions of the continent where they would share and openly within the continent, where we can then address the continental priorities. So of course, we have one node in North Africa, in Egypt. We have another node in Kenya for East Africa, and then we have a node in Southern Africa, which of this organization is National Authority for Remote Sensing and Space Science in Egypt, ACAD in Kenya, and then Ubuntu Net Alliance, which sits in Malawi. So today I will just, because of time, share some of the activities or some of the things that we've been doing. So I'll just share the ones in green as I've started talking about open access, open science awareness and dialogue, and of course, capacity building and training. If again, whatever I'm going to talk about, some of these activities can be done, or we are already doing them on open data and open infrastructure. So the African Open Science Platform, together with the UNESCO and CERN in Switzerland, we are also running what we call digital library training or librarian training. One of these is happening next year. Some of them have happened with our partners, where we look at libraries and how we can help libraries use current digital tools to make sure that the research is supported at faster and very efficient levels, using open data repositories, or what we call diamond open access journals, where author doesn't pay or the institution doesn't pay to access these tools in the continent. So one of these initiatives that I will quickly showcase here is what at the NRF we had the COVID Rapid Grant Fund, which ended this year. So what had happened, this fund had close to 300 million rands, where researchers across the continent could apply for funding from 2021 to 2023, where they do different types of research in the continent on COVID. As we all know that most of the researchers publish in journals, then later, maybe let's say in another 2 years, hope this never happens, we get another pandemic, to access that information for the continent, it would be difficult, because it means that universities will have to buy back that information from the journals which was initially published. So as the African Open Science Platform, working with our partner Africa Archive and Ubuntu, we kind of envision this platform where we on research. So the COVID Rapid Grant Fund is one of our pilot projects where we try to collate all information, not just journal articles, presentation, workshops that have happened under a particular project. And then we build the community under this repository that the African Open Science Platform with Ubuntu have kind of adopted to make it a go-to place for scientists or researchers in the continent to share information and also access information. And one of the development on this archive with AI, we are also trying to make sure that the abstract or these outputs can be quickly translated into different languages. So as you can see, the dropout menu, you can kind of get some translation in the language of your source. So if you go to the Africa Archives and you go to collections, now you will find a collection under the project called COVID-19 Rapid Grant Fund. And then if you go again, you will see different topics that were conducted under this research, and where in each topic, researchers actually added information. So it's easy for people to search the collection. They can search by title, they can search by subject, they can search by category. So we are hoping that all the research that is happening within the continent, we can create more of these communities, that all the research that is funded in the continent can be added and people can get this information for archiving. Also, interestingly, in these repositories, what we are also trying to do, the developers of this Africa Archive, they've also, you can get information based on countries, so countries can go and get information and extract it. We're also hoping that when people add metadata, we can get information by institutions, by authors, by funders. We will have all this metadata, so it's easy to find for researchers, but also for data on research, for research is also can be a useful tool. So in my closing slide, I would like to invite all of you on the Open Science in the South conference that will be happening in Cape Town, together with the Diamond Open Summit, which will be hosted by UCT and the NRF and our other global partners, but also let you know that South Africa with CSIR and DSI will be hosting the International Data Week in 2027, and we are working towards that on how we can work. As I said, the most important article on research is data. So in closing is that we really need to overcome this challenge of accessibility, inclusion, and equity in research and development and innovation. Thank you. I will stop there.
Thank you, Dr. Mchunu. That was very interesting and very important. It certainly is a huge barrier to our research and innovation that we don't have open access to the important information that we have to get. I also know from experience, it is just so difficult to get academic articles. And if you're playing kind of a science advocacy role in any way, it is essential. You have to be able to access it. And our institutions are being undermined by by not having that. So I commend NRF for these initiatives, and I'm very pleased that there is this repository. You say it's Archive Archive with an X, right?
Yes, it's the archive. Too much
Okay.
science developing that thing.
Okay, yeah. And so we will post information about that in our NSDFE newsletter. I think we should be in touch with you. Maybe Mankwe can contact you and get this information. And also for the conference in December, if we don't already have that in our newsletter, we'll certainly post that. Thank you very much for your presentation and for all this valuable information.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Professor Patience Mtunzi Kufa, a research group